Guys, I'm sitting here trying to get some work done, and I just had to stop in the middle. I'm literally sobbing, as you can see. I've tried to get it together for y'all. Um, but I'm just reflecting on what the past year has been like for me here. Many of you know that I've been going through a pretty significant journey, victory over pelvic pain. I share a lot of my journey on Instagram, on the Instagram at victory over pelvic pain. And it's been such, I'm going to cue the song I've been listening to, this song Held by Natalie Grant and Goodness of God by, there's many artists that do that song as well. But um, I'm just sitting here just reflecting on what God has done, like radically and miraculously in the last year through my pelvic pain journey. And I just wanted to share with you that, it's not easy, but it's worth it, whatever journey you're facing right now. And I just feel like I just had to get on here and share it, that there's so much beauty in the surrender. And my friend Kelly, shout out to Kelly, for just breaking me this morning with her post. And it's just so incredible. You know, Many of you may not know this or would have ever guessed this, but for so long I felt like um, less than the woman that I am. I mean, on the outside, it probably looks like I'm adjusted pretty well despite what I've been through, and that is true in so many ways. I don't want to take that away, but I had this deep-seated struggle with feeling less than a woman because of my pelvic pain journey, and for so many years, over 15, 16 years, I kind of hid that from people. You know, all the deepest pain that I was feeling because of this pelvic pain and pelvic issue that I knew I had, but I just couldn't face it. And guys, it literally took a plane crash for me to face this whole journey. And that's another story for another day that I hope to share. I've been praying over that recently, to be able to share that testimony of walking away from a plane crash and what that has done with my faith. And but back to the pelvic pain stuff, I think as women without any trauma, or just women in general, we're often at war with our bodies and our minds. And so, when you add any type of trauma, or my friend Kelly talked about her body image issues and bodybuilding and different things like that, or just as women in general, we kind of already start a little bit behind the eight ball, and then add any of the trauma that we've faced on top of that. And this song in the background, I don't know that you can hear it because I'm blabbing at you, but this song planted in my heart hope years ago, and it's Held by Natalie Grant. And for those of you who may not know the lyrics, it says, "This is what it means to be held, and to know that when everything fell, we'd be held." And I love that because for me, this victory over pelvic pain journey is when everything fell. And I wasn't quite ready for the ride that I was about to go on with it. It's been excruciating. It's been beautiful. It's been heartbreaking. I've grieved over and over again for the years lost to this kind of silent pain that I was living in, and knowing that something wasn't right inside my body. And God has done miraculous healing. And I'm still trying to process the amount of healing that he's done. But please follow my journey at Victory Over Pelvic Pain on Instagram here. I will actually type it in the comment box below so you can follow it. And feel free to send to any woman in your life that may be dealing with something like this. And, a lot of people and a lot of women, may talk about their pelvic journey, I guess, through pregnancy and things like that. And I think that's more kind of seen and known, but I'm not in that place in life yet. And I've had to really, it's been similar for me to really, step into the trenches of knowing and learning my body all over again. And for those of you who jumped on, oh my gosh, perfect person to jump on, my friend Rachel. She's incredible, and she is so encouraging on this kind of journey. She's a doula, and It's just, it's been, I'm facing boldly so many things that I was so in fear of for so many years, as a survivor of sexual trauma. I've really had to face this thing head on, and it's something, the pelvic pain and the pelvic injury or the internal injury that I have from my past is something that I swore I'd never face or touch with a 10-foot pole because I was so afraid of this journey. And it has, in some ways, proven to be, um, you know, my greatest fears coming true. I knew that I would break before I would be put back together. And, now that I can see the finish line, and I can't, I, I can't really put into words how that feels. I had my treatment yesterday, and she told me, she's like, I'm blown away by your progress and your bravery. And I prayed over like when my end date would be, because I knew that there had to be an end date. And until I'm married and I know for sure that things are healed, and or not, there's not a guarantee here, but there's so much healing that's taken place that if this is all worth it for the healing that I've received already. So, but yesterday she was saying that when I had prayed, I got the month of June as kind of my end date. So I put in I'm on temporary FMLA for work, and I haven't really had to utilize that lately because I've been able to schedule my appointments around work. But I that will end at the end of June, and I was telling her, just a reminder, like, I am only protected for my job until June, and I can reapply, but I don't really want to do that because I really feel like God has brought me the month of June for a reason. And she was like, oh, I think you'll be done by the end of May. Like, and that's amazing. That's just like the goodness of God all over the place. And, it's been a long road. It's been 16 years that I've known something was wrong inside my body. And I just think that, facing things head on, I mean, I've done that with my story. Since I was 17 and I started sharing my story publicly, but, and in my faith, I've had opportunities to share my testimony. But I think, I think digging deeper for me was really important, and looking at the piece that I wasn't comfortable sharing and finding ways to do that. And that was this pelvic pain journey. It's a very intimate thing. And, I've broken over and over again behind the scenes, and people who know me would never guess what I've been through, and with this particular journey. And so I do want to start sharing that. I don't know what that looks like yet. Many of you have followed my pelvic pain page, so it's at Victory Over Pelvic Pain here on Instagram, and I try to be pretty honest. I have treatment twice a week, so I try to do a post at least twice a week, but just trying to share open and vulnerable about, the things that I faced, and just to encourage others that nothing in your story is too much. And I'm doing a Bible study right now on Mondays. We're meeting on Zoom, but it's with Jamie Ivey. It's called Your Story Matters. And at first I thought, well, like, I've already been telling my story for so long. So like, what will this look like for me? Like, what will I learn from this study? And it's really been incredible to see that she really focuses, and it's just what I needed. Like, she really focuses on, like, what is God doing in your story right now? And rather than, like, kind of what's been done in the past. And right now, my journey is that victory over pelvic pain. It's not the sexual trauma from my childhood. It's really not completely the plane crash either, because I was just talking to my boyfriend last night, and I was like, wow, that was like 4 years ago that I walked out of that plane crash pretty much unharmed. And, what is God doing right now? And he is completely healing me from the inside out, physically, emotionally, spiritually. And for those of you just popping on here, I'm just rambling and reflecting on, I was sitting here trying to get some work done, and because I'm working from home, and I just started sobbing. I was reading a post from my friend Kelly, and then going back and forth with her a little bit, and I just felt like I had to get on here live and just share open and honestly and vulnerably with people, because I think oftentimes, when we have big revelation in our stories, we kind of keep it to ourselves and maybe share it with our inner circle, which I think is definitely serves a purpose. I think there's some things that, and again, that study with Jamie Ivey, Your Story Matters, that we've been talking about, she has been talking about like different parts of your story will be for different audiences. So, your coffee chat with really close friends will be very different than what you share, or it can be the same, but it might be a little bit different than what you share with a room full of 300 people. Or your one-on-one conversation with people will be very different than your conversation in a group. And so just keeping that in mind, but also crushing your comfort zone. So this is a little bit out of my comfort zone, going live because I'm so used to like writing and speaking and having a plan. And these live videos, like there's no plan. You can't like erase things or edit things. So I'm just getting on here. So I was just saying that I was reflecting a little bit about my journey. I was listening to Held by Natalie Grant and Goodness of God. By many different artists. I've listened to many different versions of that song. And I just started sobbing because it's been such a long journey to get to where I am with this pelvic pain stuff. And so follow my journey at Victory Over Pelvic Pain here on Instagram. And I'm going to plan to do some maybe live videos on there and, just kind of get vulnerable with you about what it's been like behind the scenes. Because I think the things that I put out there may not be the fullness of what's going on behind the scenes. And I think it's really important for people to see both sides of the journey, kind of the outward, what I've been able to share with people to be hope and light, but also the internal like battle that it's been. And, I'm sitting here sobbing this morning because it's been such a long journey. And there's been so many times where I've had to kind of, because I've been going to work, of course, in the midst of all of it. And those of you who know what I do for work, I work as a victim advocate for victims of crime, child and teen victims of crime, at an advocacy center. It's my dream job. It stems from my own trauma. I dreamed of working at a CAC since I can remember, and to actually be here now for 5 years in this role is completely humbling all the time. And I actually went through a child advocacy center when I was a kid, when I was 12, about my own abuse, and so being able to bear witness, really every single day with my team to the similar stories and being on that other side of the mirror, watching these brave kids and teenagers share their truth is really incredible. I mean, it's a little bit different right now because we're working from home in quarantine, but we're still doing the work, and it's just amazing to be a part of. And I'm really rambling, but I think that's what these live videos are for, just to kind of lay out what's on your heart. And so anyway, back to what I was saying about this journey that it's been with Victory Over Pelvic Pain. I put my page where I've been sharing my journey for the past year in the comments. But it's been really, it's been treacherous but beautiful. It's been mountaintops and valleys. It's been grieving. It's been a big surrender of my body to whatever the healing needs to happen. And, I'm coming up to the finish line. So today is May 1st, and I was praying over what month my treatments would be done, and God gave me the month of June. But just how he works, my PT, I went yesterday, I had my treatment, and she was like, I believe you'll be done by the end of this month, or by the end of May. It's now May 1st. So it's just really incredible to see that God can do immeasurably more than what we ask or fathom. And it's been really, really difficult to face this head on. It's one of the most intimate things I've ever done. And, I just want others to know that they can too. They can face, the deepest, darkest thing and bring it into the light. And, there'll be so many miraculous things that will happen. And I can say that confidently because I've just walked through it for the past year and a half. And, the ways people show up for you, or the ways that you're able to share those victories that you have, and to encourage other people. I mean, I've met people on my journey that I would never know were struggling with a similar thing, and, connecting with so many amazing women through this process. And I don't think I actually got to it earlier, which is why I started this I started this live, I was just talking about how for so long, even though, like, I guess legally at 18 I became a woman, I felt less than a woman my entire life, up until January of 2019, because of this pelvic pain, and I have what's called vaginismus, and I have an internal injury from the sexual trauma from when I was a child, and adolescent, and things that happen in college, and the list goes on. But you know, what I've really found through this process is that I found my womanhood again, and I've really been able to embrace the woman that I am today because of God's grace and forgiveness and surrender. And I've really been able to embrace confidently that I am a woman of God, and that I can claim that title of woman regardless of what the rest of this journey entails. As much as I say the finish line is just ahead by the end of this month, it could mean, when I get married, that there could be issues that could present themselves physically. But I'm so ready. I'm so ready to tackle those. And that's incredible. I don't have a longing to know anymore if I'm completely healed, because I know that God has me held. And like I was saying earlier, that song by Natalie Grant, Held, has been such something I've clung to before I even knew God, before I even defined my faith in 2015. And, it says, "This is what it means to be held, how it feels when the sacred is torn from your life and you survive. This is what it is to be loved and to know that the promise was when everything fell, we'd be held." And those words have never meant so much to me. Shout out to Natalie Grant for she didn't write the song, but she's performed it and she does it beautifully. And those words planted in my heart before I knew God, but I really believe that they were planted for such a time as this, because I think going through this journey for the past 15 years, that song was more of a longing. Like, I wanted to be loved. I wanted to, but I never believed that it was possible. And now I'm in a really great relationship, and an intimate relationship, and it's a miracle. That's a miracle in itself. There's just been so many miracles, and it shouldn't surprise me because God is the God of miracles. But there's been just so much healing that has happened, and I really look forward to sharing it with you as I continue to let it kind of marinate and process within me. But I was getting really emotional here staring at my computer, so I figured I'd go live, just to own that, to own that it's okay to that it's okay to feel emotion in your story. If you've been on a long journey through something, that it's okay to own it. And that's what I'm trying to do here today, is just own it, and confidently know that every little thing is worth it. Every inch of grief, every inch of pain, every inch of healing, every inch of physical, emotional, spiritual pain. This Victory Over Pelvic Pain journey has presented all of it. And I've really been in the trenches. I've been on the mountaintop. I've been, in the grieving. I've been in the surrender. I've been in the physical pain that's almost unbearable. It's excruciating. And it's just been such a miracle to see how God has healed me from the inside out thus far. And I know He's doing so much more. So I just wanted to jump on here and share my thoughts. This is a really long video, but I hope you find some hope in the fact that we're not alone as women, and I just want other women to know that they're not alone. So feel free to follow my journey at Victory Over Pelvic Pain here on Instagram, and I hope to continue to share with you what it's like for the next month as I kind of cross the finish line of my treatment for this, and all the lessons that I've learned. I think I'll do a reflection on all the things that I've learned through the process of healing. So I hope everyone has a great day, and stay beautiful.